Hey guys, welcome back to my Gathering Trade Skill series. I want to start off by apologizing for taking so long to get this video out there. It's been a hectic last few weeks from being sick, work, and the holidays, but it should get better going forward. So let's get into it. But today we have a pretty quick one. We're going to upset a lot of hippies by committing arboricide. I mean, working on our forestry conservation. That's what I meant. Logging is one of the simplest farms early on because all we need are trees. So let's see if we can look around and see any trees. Nah, not a one. This is going to be rough. I want to quickly preface how the rest of the videos are going to go in this series. These initial ones are going to be basic guides, which will help you in gathering lower tier materials like Greenwood, Ironwood, regular rawhide. And they're more focused farms for newer players, just so they can level up their logging skill or mining skill, whatever skill you're trying to increase a little bit faster. And they can also be taken as focused farms for those lower tier materials. The later on guides will be advanced guides, which you'll pretty much need max level, all the gathering sets, and decent tools to be able to switch between all the different farms in one run, because we're going to be hot swapping between the gear sets so that we can get the higher tier materials with the most luck, yield, and efficiency that we can. I want to quickly say, if you're a new player, like you haven't made a character yet, the best archetype that you can take is going to be Ranger, primarily because it gives you an increased logging skill. It starts you out at level 50, which allows you to start right off at mature trees rather than young trees. And this will massively increase your experience gain and let you get a head start on the severe grind that logging is, or at least in the early game. And having increased engineering allows you to make steel tools at level 25, so it'll help. So logging early on really just means jumping from young tree to young tree, getting Greenwood and a little bit of logging XP along the way. And then you can move on over here to mature trees at level 50, which give an increased dose of XP along with aged wood. You'll do this up to level 100, at which point you'll start being able to farm Wyrdwood trees, Ironwood trees at level 150, and then Runewood after that. So for young and mature trees up until level 100, you can really go just about anywhere. But when I'm focus farming Greenwood, the best place in my opinion to go is Restless Shore. I come out starting out the northeastern gate, start farming all down here, up and around, hitting every cluster of trees until I either clear it all out or I'm too fat to walk any further and have to go drop it off at the storage. The key around here is these banana trees. They really only take about 2 swings if you have good efficiency or if you have increased gathering speed as your territory standing attribute. But all these banana trees are clustered together in a way that you can just hit a few, and if you're able to proc the 300 strength or 300 constitution, 25% fell, then you can clear them really fast, and they give decent greenwood. As a comparison for this area versus others, I did 15-minute runs, seeing how much I could farm for Greenwood, primarily, between Restless Shore and Wyrdwood, which is where most people start out their game. I tested Monarch's Bluff as well, but it pretty much came out to the same as Wyrdwood. So in Restless Shore, in that 15-minute run, I gathered 7,200 Greenwood, 600 aged wood, 225 motes from my tools, 50 strange resin for extra XP, 5 abnormal resin, and 200 bananas, which on my server are worth about 350, as opposed to Wyrdwood, where I only got 4,600 greenwood, 500 aged wood, 125 motes, and 35 strange resin. For mature trees and aged wood farming, my anecdotal favorite place to come is right here in Brightwatch, which is inside Brightwood. I'll either start on the southwest side or the northeast side and circle around the town, moving southeast deeper into the forest. I mainly like coming here because I can tell which trees are mature trees because they're usually a solid gray color and a little bit fatter, with the exception of some of the young trees having these white spots all over them. And I just kind of got to the point where I know which trees to run to, and I can do much more focused farming as compared to other areas. Around here, I'm able to get about 3,300 aged wood in that same 15-minute period. Alternatively, if you've neglected your trade skills by the time you reach Brimstone Sands, you can come up here to Cradle's Rest, to the fast travel point, and all through here, you'll see cactus, or cacti. Just like trees, they vary between young cacti and mature cacti. They both give cactus flesh, water, and if you have the attunement on your tools, a moat, or potentially a moat. But mainly the cactus flesh sells for about 2 to 5 gold depending on your server, and you can gather up probably about 1,000 of these in about 15 minutes of farming, and it's a really good quick way to get some gold because they're always in demand. Now for beyond level 100, I know I said that it gets easier at this point, but the change is you go from having a plentiful resource that you can just grind straight through, giving low XP, to trees that now give higher XP, but take longer to respawn. And most of these areas are going to be camped constantly, but I'm going to show you some of my favorite places to go, and I'll probably leave images overlaid so that I can show you pretty much the entire area without having to run through it. I mainly choose these ones because they have a high density of these types of trees. Some of them have an extra way to get logging XP beyond just chopping down trees, and it's much faster to farm. First up, we have the Bronze Grove, down here in the southeast of Brightwatch, or Brightwood. All through this cave, there's all these small trees for Wyrdwood. But if you want to farm just a little bit faster, if you kill these wolves and then log them, you get the same amount of logging XP as you do from a small Wyrdwood tree, along with, again, Wyrdwood and a little bit of life moat. For my next two favorite Wyrdwood farms, they're both going to be here in Eden Grove. As you can see, we have some Wyrdwood up off in the distance. You're going to start off here just south of the settlement, and you're going to snake your way up this path, gathering all of them as you go. Cross over into Great Cleave, as there's several down here in the Bight, and then come up along the Blighted Rise until you get to Weird Peak. Go into these caves, and there's several Wyrdwood trees on each one, along with several more just south of them on the cliff itself. And then run over here to the I'm not saying that word, the shrine, till you come down to here, up where the Motherwell Blighted Passage is. And we're going to go here to the Welkin Fringe. Now what I like about this spot is that it's primarily an XP farm. As you can see, there's plenty of trees around to farm, and there's even more up top if you go up this ridge, go towards the Blighted Passage. But there's a ton of these wood wolves all around, and each of these, yet again, gives you plenty of logging XP. There's about 8 down here, I think about 3 or 4 up there, and so I just run through, kill them all, gather the trees, gather the dogs themselves, clear up top, and then by the time you jump back down, all of them have respawned, and while you wait for the trees to respawn, keep on going through and gathering the dogs. And for our final spot, we have the Virid Grotto down here in Reekwater. And what I like about this place is that pretty much no one comes here. And there's quite a few trees with a decent number of chests so you can double up on farming. The only thing I would say to be concerned about is the Virid Vine, I think it's called, which is a big boss on the left-hand side. It pretty much takes you out if you're just wearing logging gear, so maybe bring something that'll help you survive. But as you can probably see here on the map, right outside there's a line of Ironwood trees, so if you were to be able to transition from Wyrdwood to being able to farm Ironwood, you just jump outside and gather like 10 trees of Ironwood, which will then push us into our next farm, which will be Ironwood trees. Now the thing about Ironwood trees that still just blows my mind is that they either seem to be always farmed or never farmed. Like here in Windsward, just by the pirate area. There's these 6 trees just sitting around. No one's come by to farm them. Now for our second Ironwood spot, we're back up here in the lush mountains above Eden Grove. I do want to take this chance to just tell you, if there's any point at which you start maxing out logging luck, it's going to be at Ironwood trees and Runewood trees, primarily because you're going to be able to find Ironwood sap, which gives the Thwarting Strikes perk as a crafting mod. This is a very highly sought after crafting mod, and so it can be worth quite a bit of money if you're able to find a good number of them. While these trees are pretty spread out, they're probably the biggest cluster, at least in one single region, of Ironwood trees anywhere on the map. For our last Ironwood farm, we have a really simple one. We're right up here up in Evanscale Reach at the Lover's Shrine. The nice part about this one is you can just step right off the shrine and see whether or not the trees are up. There are a few more on the north side of the lake, but if you feel like going and getting those, great. If not, then just go on and move somewhere else. Now the most I can say about Runewood is if you're going to farm it, good luck, because it's probably the most competitive wood that people look for. However, I'll show you some of my main places that I go to usually get some, which is going to be right here at the Imperial Palace, pretty much right off the rip when you cross over the bridge. We have a world tour going through, it seems, but you can at least see a few of the trees. They're all throughout the water, and it's pretty much entirely safe to gather them and not have any of the enemies attack you. In keeping with the Evanscale Reach theme that we've got going on, our next spot for Runewood is going to be right here at the Skysong Lagoon. This little corner right here has 5 or 6 Runewood trees, and they can be pretty easily farmed without getting your butt kicked too much. So, just a nice little place to focus. And last up for Runewood trees, we're here in Subra, in Morningdale. There's a nice little clump of Runewood both underneath the waterfall and all around the water, along with a clump of Wyrdwood trees just on the other side. So you can double up your farming if you want to. So that about wraps it up. I know this video isn't all encompassing with a bunch of hidden secret farms, but like I said, it's a beginner guide. It's supposed to show the progression of the trade skill and a few farming spots to get started that are good yield and mostly safe for beginners. I'll link the Aeternum map that I use down below, so if you come to one of these spots and it's already been cleared by someone else, who may or may not have watched this guide, you can find another spot rather than have to wait for respawn. And I'd just like to say how grateful I am for the support in my Intro to Gathering video, and that I'll continue to try to make useful content to live up to that. Anyway, thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.